Hello, everybody. Welcome to Antarctica. Thank you for joining us today. We'll just give everybody a little bit of time to join us and then we'll get started. I'd like to watch this poll. Okay, we have people with experience in Antarctic travel. We have people where it's all new to them, people that know a bit. Awesome. Whole mix. Great. All right. It's just the top of the hour right now, so we'll give it another minute for anybody that still wants to pop in, and then we will get started with our in-depth presentation of Antarctica. I typically move through these pretty quickly, or I try to. So today, my intent is to slow down and really give you the information. We've scheduled some time to be here today together, so we'll talk through it and we'll just dig into the magic that is Antarctica. Can see a few more people are still showing up, so let's just give it another minute or two while everybody gets settled in. All right, I say we get started. Everybody else can catch up if they pop in to join us here. So, welcome to Antarctica today and Deep Dive with Antarctica 21. I am Lori Gerwin, your Antarctica 21 expert today. And Antarctica is my favorite place on the planet. I first visited Antarctica in 2009. I stayed for 5 months as a dishwasher for the United States Antarctic program. I hated it. It was not love at first sight. But I went back and I started driving monster buses and managing passenger logistics at remote airfields and absolutely fell in love with the Antarctic and am thrilled that I was able to call it home. I lived on the ice for over 2 years' time. So I've spent a lot of time in Antarctica. I first got to know Antarctica 21 back in 2017. I was selling them as an agent. So I've sent a lot of clients to Antarctica through Antarctica 21, like all of you are about to. And now I've been working with Antarctica 21 on the inside for about 4 years. So, like I said, I love Antarctica and I'm happy to share with you about it today. We also have Stephanie here. I represent the West Coast and a little bit of the East Coast for my regions, and Stephanie takes care of most of the East Coast and all of Canada for us. And she will be answering chat box questions for you while we're going through and then helping with questions and answers at the end. So, with that, we'll get going. And we are Antarctica 21. We are the pioneers in exclusive small ship wilderness air cruise expeditions to Antarctica and beyond. We really live every day with the goal of providing the very best Antarctic expedition experience possible. It's our mission, it's our vision, and it's what we do here at Antarctica 21. So today what I want to talk about is who is Antarctica 21, and really with that highlight what sets us apart from our competition and the other folks doing what we're doing down there. And then I want to talk about the journey, what our ships are like, what a day in a life is like, what actually happens on an expedition. And then we'll get into how we're here to support you, client portals, gear, that sort of stuff. And we'll have time for question and answers at the end. And also just know that we're here to support you. So after this webinar is over, you can reach out. We can do private webinars. We can chat. We're here all the way through it. So why Antarctica 21? Well, first of all, we invented the fly cruise model. So I'm sure most of you know that most folks that go to Antarctica, they sail across the Drake Passage, which is also known as the wildest waterways in the world. It can take 2+ days to cross it each way, and you never know what sort of storm you're going to get out there. Delays can happen. So at Antarctica 21, we thought, there's a better way to do it and pioneered the fly cruise model. So it takes 2.5 hours to fly across the Drake Passage versus sailing it. So, first of all, we have the knowledge. We've been doing this for 21 years now. We know the logistics. We understand what can happen when operating in the Antarctic, and we're the pros at it. We do it 40 times a year in the season. And the other big thing here with the fly cruise to Antarctica is it saves you time. I just visited Antarctica again recently, at the end of February, and I was like, man, this is a long way to go. So anywhere you look at it, it takes a very long time to get to the ends of the earth. But when you fly across that Drake Passage, take 4 days plus at sea out of the equation, it does save you time. You do reach the magic quicker, and you're certainly more comfortable. I don't know how many of you have been on a Buford 10 or 11 out there popping around, but I mean, it's kind of thrilling and exciting, but it's not comfortable. Most people are man down, right? It's a long part of the voyage. So flying across the Drake is a great way to do it. The other thing that really sets us apart here at Antarctica 21 is the size of our ships. We have 76 passenger ships and smaller, and that is really the smallest expedition ship in the Antarctic waters. So you're getting a really exclusive, intimate experience with that. The size of the ship matters in Antarctica. We'll talk a lot about our expeditions, but a really key factor is that the Antarctic Treaty doesn't allow more than 100 folks off the ship to shore at one time. So most of the other operators down there, they're playing a merry-go-round game to get your people to the shore to experience what's there. And we don't have to do that. We have everybody off the ship at the same time. So it's maximizing your time on land. We're extending that time as much as possible for exploration. Other ways that we really shine here at Antarctica 21 and are different than the rest is that we're local. We are from Punta Arenas, Chile, which is the gateway to Antarctica. Our founders are there, our board of directors are there, our operations team is there. It is our home. So we have a very large team in place to support your clients in Punta Arenas and make sure that everything's running right. Our team, we will talk about these guys all through this presentation today, but they shine. These are the people that are really delivering the dream that you and I are selling, and they do it day in, day out. They blow me away every time I'm down there. And again, ways that we shine with this is we have the most guides to guests in the industry. So we have about one expedition guide to every 5 to 6 guests on the ship. This allows for tons of flexibility for all activity levels, all languages. We can take care of everybody because we have a huge expedition team and we have a small amount of guests. So we're winning. Our hospitality team, I don't think that we highlight enough here at Antarctica 21. The onboard experience that they give people is incredible. They learn their name right away. They understand if you want coffee before breakfast or after breakfast, if you want red or white served with your meal. These folks are really making an incredible experience on board for your clients. Another thing that's really important here that we offer you at Antarctica 21 that nobody else operating fly cruises can offer you is we have flight priority. We're partners with the Antarctic Airways. So this means that we pick the flight window that works best for us. That might mean that we choose to go to 9 a.m. versus 4 a.m. because it works better for the guest schedule, or we might choose to go at 4 a.m because we don't think the 9 a.m. flight's going to make it. We think weather might come in and we want to get people there. These days, flights are running around the clock at King George Island, but we get to choose when we want to go. So that's really important. Another thing that we're offering you that nobody else is down there is that it only takes one flight to move all of our folks, from point A to point B. So from Punta Arenas to the ship and back, we only need one plane. So we need a smaller flight window. We don't need multiple planes. We don't have people in depth on both sides. So that's a real advantage when you talk about flying and how delays can happen, just like delays can happen when you're sailing. But we have ways in that flight priority to get you to the other side quicker. And again, we're keeping you comfortable while you're waiting. You're not bouncing around out at sea holding on for your dear life out there. What I'd like to really point on here is that Antarctica 21 is carbon neutral. We are doing everything we can to lead the way for sustainability and minimizing our impact on the environment when it comes to tourism in the Antarctica. And another thing here that I think is really cool that we have at Antarctica 21 is our Antarctica 21 Foundation. And this is another side of the company that is really more our ambassadors for the continent. They're doing what they can for good. If it's getting high school students down there, or building a time capsule or a photography display, they're promoting the continent as the incredible place that it is for the good. So that's another neat thing that we have going on here. Okay, with that, I'm going to take a break. And we will talk about our expedition center and our ships, what vessels people are using, why they're down there, and the magic. First off, we have our explorer's house. This is an absolutely stunning building that we opened 2 years ago, and it's just been getting rave reviews from our guests. We rehabbed an old building in Punta Arenas. The same architects that did the Singular Patagonia and the Magellan worked on the Explorer, and it's beautiful. You can see it all the way through. This is exclusive for Antarctica 21 guests. These days, Punta Arenas is quite crowded. There's a lot of people in the Mayfly season from December till the end of February, there, start of March. So it's really nice to be able to go into the Explorer's House, hang out, relax. There's always refreshments out, sweet, savory, juices, coffees, teas. There's really cool interactive touch screens that are huge that you can spend all day learning about the Antarctic, the history, the wildlife, the science, a library. So it's really a place to just be while you're in Punta Arenas, away from the hustle and bustle, and just stay comfortable while you're waiting for your flight. It is also a big part of our day one operations now, our expedition center at Explorer's House. We've moved most of that out of the Cabo de Hornos Hotel. That's just where the guests stay. And then they really spend the day with us at Explorer's House now. It's open at 11 in the morning, so people can start coming by throughout the day. This is where you get your boots. We do loan you the boots for the expedition, but not the parkas. So you'll need to bring your own parkas. We'll talk about gear more, but at the Explorer's House, they are beefing up the gear rental shop and the gear shop available here. So there's more services available now, and exclusive again just for Antarctica 21 guests. So you'll get your boots at the Explorer's House. We'll have a briefing. They'll tell you what you're about to expect, what's going on. It's fun, right? It gets you excited for it all. There's a delicious Chilean dinner served, and then after dinner you will get your flight announcement, and you will know what time you're taking off to the magic. And I always remember that feeling, the first time you go to the Antarctica. It's very exciting. So once you fly across the Drake Passage in that 2-hour flight, we'll take you on a quick bus ride to the shore. You'll take your first Zodiac ride out to the ship, and you'll board our ships. We'll talk about the itineraries a bit more, but I want to introduce you to our ships. And first of all, there is the Magellan Discoverer, which we are so excited that is joining our fleet in December of 2026. It is currently being built in the Valdivian shipyard in Chile. It's the same shipyard that built its sister ship, the Magellan Explorer. So we are super excited for the Discoverer to be here. This is a sister ship, but it's a premium ship. This ship has a deck that wraps all the way around, so you don't have to go in and out to go to each end of the ship. We have a science lab, we have a photography lab, we have a sauna with a huge picture window. This is going to be the best ship in the polar waters that people can be on. The Discover, the one of the great things about Discover is we've built it so it works more for your families and your groups. There's interchangeability within these cabin categories. We have fewer cabin categories and all premium. This ship is going to have 4-inch higher ceilings than the Magellan Explorer, which we'll talk about. Full picture windows everywhere. All of the cabins have balconies. They all have a larger, grander sitting room. It's just a bit bigger ship with larger cabins, but again, a sister ship. So the same look and feel of this boutique elegance is throughout. 76 passengers. So again, that one flight back and forth. So the Magellan Explorer, our sister ship to the Discoverer, We built in 2019 from everything that we've learned in the last 20 years of air cruise operations. And a lot of the experts down there call it the most stunning ship in all of the polar waters. This is a great ship. Again, 76 passengers. I'm going to interrupt myself for 1 minute and tell you guys something different about these ships, though. Both ships, actually, when we're on a sea voyage, that the aircraft is not involved, and we'll talk about that in our itineraries, they can hold 99 passengers, actually. And a good thing to know about that is they have configuration. Like I was talking about on the Discoverer, we can configure the cabins in different ways. So always reach out and ask us based on what your people have, because we might be able to add an extra person or do things. So there's a little flexibility since we keep it narrowed to 76 passengers for the air cruise. Okay, back to the Magellan Explorer, our beautiful ship. Uh, you're never going to have a guest complain about the accommodations on the Magellan Explorer. 7 cabin categories. There are porthole cabins on the ship. This is a great picture to show you the difference between the veranda cabins and the deluxe veranda cabins. The veranda cabin is the picture up top that has one fixed pane and one door that opens, where the deluxe verandas have a full sliding glass. So other than that, we can talk you through all the cabin categories, but it gives you an idea of the sitting rooms in this ship versus the other, and the look and feel of them both. If you look at the new ship size by size, the Discoverer, the cabins are about 70 square feet bigger, give or take, right? So again, sister ships, same experience, but a little bit more premium feel on that Discoverer. Both of the ships have been built with sustainable features in mind. The Discoverer has more updated technology just because it's 5 years newer, right, with sustainable features. But it's really important to us here at Antarctica21, so that's kept in mind always as we are building our fleet and looking into the future. So when you talk about both ships, right, which ship is right for my client? If you've got that client that wants top end of everything, top tier, put them on the Discoverer, but they won't be disappointed in a penthouse on the Explorer. Again, sister ships. The Discoverer has bigger cabins and a bit more flexibility for your families and groups with configuration. Uh, kind of direct those up. For one more season, we do have the mighty Ocean Nova. It is taking its last dance with Antarctica 21 this season in 25-26. This is an awesome expedition ship. I've been on it to the Polar Circle. Some of the expedition team, this is their favorite ship because it's a really small, intimate experience. 68 passengers tops out the Ocean Nova. And this little ship, like it wiggles into little bays that other ships don't go. It's an awesome value for the 25-26 season for the air cruise. So going forward, we'll just have our beautiful Magellans with the fleet, saying goodbye to Ocean Nova. But this season, for those clients with this price point, that's cool with a pure expedition ship. Don't disregard the Ocean Nova. Okay, let's talk about the itineraries. First off, we have our classic Antarctica air cruise. This is what most of your clients are going to be happy with in experience. We do about 40 of these a season. This is the heart and soul of the experience that Antarctica 21 is offering. And let me dig into it just a little bit so you understand how this itinerary works. So we meet you in Punta Arenas. It's really important that your clients are there no later than 2 p.m. on day one of the journey. And really, it's better if they're there earlier. Build yourself a buffer window. Things happen getting all the way to the end of the world. But why that 2 p.m. cutoff is such a strict thing for us is because that actually starts our weather window. In a perfect world, we spend day one at the explorer's house, as I've explained, getting your boots, having a briefing, having dinner, and then we fly over to Antarctica the next morning in ideal, perfect weather conditions if Mother Nature is agreeing. But if we can't fly over the next morning, if we do have a weather window the afternoon before on day one of your trip, we will leave then and go to Antarctica early, which is why it's so important to have your people there early. Our polar circle cruise and some of the other experiences I'm going to talk to you about on the itineraries, it works the same way. That day one, we need you there early whenever the flight's involved because we build in a weather window for us there. But you can see it by this map that's not quite to scale. We'll fly you across the Drake Passage. We'll land in King George Island. We'll then sail across the Brandfield Strait and we'll be in the magic in the heart of the peninsula. So that's our classic where we spend night one on the ship and then night 3 through 6. Sorry, I got myself confused. Night one, you're at Punta Arenas at the hotel. Then the next nights, 2 through 6, you're at on the ship. Night 7, you fly back to Punta Arenas. You spend the night there again, and then the next morning, you're set to fly off. Again, it's good to build a buffer into that. If we have weather that night on night 7, we'll fly over on the morning of day 8. So don't put your people on the first flight out of Punta Arenas. Put them in later that afternoon or run them up to the Singular Patagonia, even better. Um, they all kind of work that way. So that's our classic Antarctic itinerary, 8 days, 7 nights. We have our Polar Circle air cruise. Really, the difference with this itinerary is it goes farther. It gives you more time to experience the Antarctic after you've already gone all that way. Give yourself time to be in it instead of rushing through. Wildlife differences, they do are finding the Adelie penguins are moving a bit farther south as things are warming up. So on the classic, you're really only getting the Gentoo penguins and the Chinook penguins. These days, the Adelies are a bit farther south. So Polar Circle is great for those people that really want to immerse in a full Antarctic experience where time is not an issue. Polar Circle is an awesome itinerary. We do have the Magellan Discoverer's inaugural voyage. There is limited space available on this trip, so if you are interested, I would sign up for this expedition soon. What's really cool about this trip is it flies one way and it sails the other. And you will have some clients interested in doing that so they get that experience of the Drake Passage, but don't have to do it both ways. So this inaugural voyage on the Discoverer offers that opportunity. So really cool thing there with Discoverer's voyage. Antarctica and South Georgia air cruise. Let's talk about South Georgia for a minute. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with South Georgia, but at this point, it's really becoming the crown jewel of the Antarctic. It's in the subantarctic. It's one of the most remote destinations on the planet to travel to. The time it takes to get there for the time spent on the island is a little mind-blowing. But the experience itself of seeing South Georgia is absolutely incredible. Some of the most incredible wildlife moments you'll have on the planet. It's just a symphony of sound, and it's completely different. South Georgia is not like Antarctica. Antarctica is a land made of ice, and ice is what blows people away in the Antarctic. South Georgia is about the wildlife. You have massive concentrations of wildlife on these huge mountain peaks with big glacier cappings and these really tall tundra grasses. You have like 6 foot tall tundra grasses on South Georgia Island with king penguins hiding inside. If we ever see tall tundra grasses in the Antarctic, we're all in trouble. So really different landscapes between these two destinations. We have one itinerary a year that puts Antarctica and South Georgia together and incorporates the fly cruise. So you eliminate sailing on the Drake Passage. And really, you never sail on the Drake. You do sail the cusp of it, and it can get quite wild out there. So don't think you're not going to experience sea if you go to South Georgia, but you experience less time at sea with this itinerary. We have one itinerary a year that does this. We still have space available in March of 2027. So if you have clients interested in Antarctica and South Georgia, this is the trip to take to see both. Or even better, split it up, make it 2 trips. Do the fly cruise to Antarctica and then do a sea voyage to the Falkland Islands and South Georgia and see them both. This gives you a bit more time in South Georgia and it lets you see the Falklands, which have a lot of history and There's not very many places where you can see penguin and sheep together in these grassy hills on this way to this icy land. So really cool itinerary there. We have a couple South Georgia and Falkland Islands a year. Book those early because there's just not that many of those itineraries. We also have our Antarctica Express air cruise. This attracts people for several reasons. One, the price. It's a great price. Two, it gets that bucket list on your bucket list checked off that you've been to Antarctica, and it gives you that experience to sail one way and fly one way if you're after doing both. You land at Cape Horn. There's some really cool things you do when you're on the Beagle Channel side. But what's important to know about this trip when it comes to Antarctica is you are not spending much time in Antarctica. Depending on how long it takes for your crossing, you'll have maybe 1 to 3 landings. So as long as you set the expectation, people are happy. But it is important to know that this is really just touching the tip here of the Antarctic Peninsula. We've got a really cool itinerary we're excited about. This has really just launched, and this is our Patagonian Chilean Fjords itinerary. This runs twice a season and is really discovering some cool hidden areas along the Chilean fjords that nobody else goes to and sees. This is not where there's roads. This is not where people live. This is really just wild wilderness out there with a lot of wildlife, whales, birds, that sort of thing. For your clients that wanted a scenic Alaska cruise and don't need much time on the shore, this is perfect for them. People that want to just watch the scenery, be on a beautiful small ship, and have some really exciting zodiac excursions and see some great wildlife. This is a very unique place in Chile. Okay, let's talk about expeditions. Well, it's kind of twofold expeditions. What our expeditions are like, a day in the life once you're on the ship. But also, I want to talk a minute about what makes an expedition, kind of the definition of the word and voyage itself. And that is because when we're operating in these remote places where Mother Nature loves to remind you that she is in charge, there is multiple plans that go throughout the day. You start with plan A and you end the day with plan Z because it all depends on what's happening. You might be making your way to a hidden bay that you think is going to be opened and perfect for some zodiac cruising and wildlife watching, but the winds might shift and fill that bay with ice and you can't get in. So things happen on expedition where then you have to be ready to juggle to the next landing site and the next location. So that's the true meaning of an expedition where you're really down there in the moment and taking advantage of what's happening. If a pot of orcas come by, guess what? They're going to stop the ship. That's the meaning of an expedition based on what's happening at the moment with all the logistics and everything involved. That's why some people say, can I have an itinerary? And it's like, well, we can tell you about, where you're going to be on this day and this day. But in the middle, no, because it just has to be ready to experience the magic. And that's another place where our expedition team just really shines. These guys, you don't end up working in the Antarctic by accident, right? It's not like, I need a job, I guess I'll go do that. No. Like, first of all, there's huge competition to be one of 13 or 14 expedition team on Antarctica 21 ship. These are people that have been working in the polar waters for years and years and years. We always like to play a game on board of, how much experience do you have? And between the team on board, they always have over 100 years of experience between the group of over a dozen of them. That's a lot of landing sites, a lot of knowledge of knowing what it takes to operate in the Antarctic, the areas you can go to, and they're just delivering this expedition to your clients where they're sharing their knowledge about the wildlife and science and the ice and all the things, and they're out there in the elements with you. And really, I cannot talk about what a wonderful team that we have on the ships providing this experience for everybody. Our polar experts, again, I already told you about the amount of experience, and it's always new for them too. From living in the Antarctic, I can tell you, I used to drive up and down the same road every day, but it looked different all day long. In a 12-hour shift, you would never know if an emperor penguin would wander by or if a storm would blow in. It's always different out there in the Antarctic. Our hospitality team, again, these guys on board, just they really make it fun. They are always smiling, they are always helpful, and they are there to make sure that everybody is comfortable. Let's talk a bit about a day in a life on expedition. We've talked about how this changes because we don't know what the weather's going to be doing, and we've talked about all our itineraries. So they all operate a bit differently, right? Based on the itinerary they're doing and what's happening. But the heart of what we like to deliver every day in a perfect ideal world on expedition, this is how it flows. The expedition leader comes on the PAs, they wake everybody up 7:30 or so in the morning, and they invite everybody to a beautiful breakfast buffet. You have a full hot bar line, usually, 6+ choices, live omelet station, full pastry bar, big salad line with charcuteries. Nobody's going to go hungry. Then you're usually off the ship by 9:30 in the morning. They'll do the first landing. Again, this is all with Mother Nature's permission. But by about 9:30 or so in the morning, you're off the ship for your first landing site. You'll be off the ship for 2 or 3 hours. Again, all depending on the conditions and what's at hand. Uh, and then you'll be back on the ship for lunch. We'll have a delicious lunch buffet. Again, at the lunch buffet, there's a huge hot bar line. There is a big salad line. There's soups, there's breads, there's delicious desserts. And they'll do, like a pop-up Asian noodle bar or a taco bar or something like that to keep it interesting. Beer and wine is served at lunch and included. And good to know there is a hidden cheeseburger lunch available. If anybody's interested, you just have to ask. So lunch, we'll sail to another landing site. Usually there's time for a little nap or a presentation, and then you're off the ship again for another 2 to 3 hours. Again, give or take, depending on what's happening. If you're Zodiac cruising or at a penguin rookery. And you'll be back on the ship and invited up to the lounge for a happy hour. And that's where we'll do a presentation. And they'll usually talk about something that was relevant to what you saw that day. If you were at an albatross colony or there was slaps in the sea or different things going on with climate. They'll address the different things that you saw, and then they will talk about what they're hoping the plan is for the next day. So when you get woken up in the morning, you aren't surprised that they've woken you up early. It's a beautiful day and you're going to leave the ship early, or it's stormy, take a nap, and breakfast will be served in a bit, but there's tea and pastries waiting for you. So you'll have an idea of what's happening before you go to bed. After that presentation, we'll invite you for dinner, delicious dinner. You order a la carte off the menu. It's a served dinner, but there's all the options you can want, including the hidden cheeseburger and other things like that on the dinner menu. Beer and wine is again included with dinner. And after dinner, the lounge is opened for cocktails and fun. So that is your typical day in life on expedition. And actually, the one other thing I want to touch on with that to give you an idea of how the expeditions work. Again, it's a little different between the itineraries, but the same at the same time. So once your Zodiac reaches the shore, all landings are done by Zodiacs. Once your Zodiac reaches its destination, the expedition leader will greet the Zodiac and they will give you a rundown of what is happening. Penguins over here, watch out for the leopard seal over here. You can go see this historic hut up on the hill here, icy over there. And they'll tell you what's going on. And then you're free to wander at your own will. The expedition team splits up and they are basically positioned in a perimeter around the area. They'll be positioned at the penguins. So there's a naturalist there to talk about the penguins. There'll be a historian at the historic hut that you're seeing. So there's somebody there to talk to you about that. If there's somewhere we don't want you to walk, we'll have somebody there for that. So you aren't going to accidentally wander away. But the great thing about this flexibility is you are free to explore at your own pace. So if you just want to simply stay with the penguins at the shore and not go anywhere else, you don't need to. If you're feeling active and want to run up and down the hill, you can do that. It's all based on your flexibility because we have our expedition team scattered around to be taking care of everybody there. I know that's a lot on a day in a life, but that's just a little bit how it works there. And again, just to touch on our small ship size, those 76 passengers, those are the only other people around you on the Antarctic. So that's a huge benefit to not being on those bigger ships. And you don't have to worry about rotating back to the ship so that the other group can get off. We do have a sea kayaking program available. This is available to 20 people. So if sea kayaking is a deal breaker for your folks, it's important to book this early. This really does sell out. 10 groups and they don't multiply. They flip-flop every other group. So each time there's the opportunity to kayak based on the landing and the weather, that group will be called and then the next group will go on the next voyage. In theory, they should have 3 to 5 kayaking experiences per group per expedition, just based on the weather. The kayaking is really special experience because the kayakers leave the ship first and they take them away in a zodiac to somewhere different. So maybe if there's a leopard seal and the leopard seal pup on an ice floe, they'll take you within a safe distance over there, quietly let you get in your kayaks over there, so you have this like special quiet experience away from everything else. So the kayaking is wonderful for those that are able to do it. For those that can't do it, you're not missing out. You can still ride around in the zodiacs and have a lot of incredible experiences. But it is there for folks that want it. There's also a hiking and snowshoeing program that we offer on board. And I like people to understand this is extra. This is for the people that want to go farther. So like I said, when you come to the shore, there's going to be a perimeter set up and everybody can be within that. The hiking and snowshoeing group will go outside of that. They'll stay together as a group. So if you're really wanting to get those miles in or get away from everything else, the hiking and snowshoeing program is great. This you book on board based on availability. So this does not need to be ahead of time, but it's something for your people to know to listen for. But the expedition team makes it really clear in the presentations. Say they're going to do a special zodiac based on citizen science. They will put a sign up sheet at the hotel reception desk for people to sign up for that expedition. So they make announcements so nobody's lost in the blue. And we also have our our Antarctica21 app. And the app works on board the ships, tells you what's happening next, tells you what's going on. So nobody's ever wondering where they need to be and when. Contingency plan. As I've talked about a few times, Mother Nature is in charge in the Antarctic. There's no way around that. So at Antarctica21, with our over 20 years of experience, we have learned the logistics involved with operating in the Antarctic weather, and we see new things that happen every year that we learn from. And one thing we pride ourselves on is having the best contingency plan in the industry. Uh, I won't go into it in ton of detail, but I will tell you one of the great things is that we have every night at the hotel pre-booked. That's part of the experience. So if we do have a flight delay, people are not moving hotels, they are not moving hotel rooms, they are not part of that chaos. They are just hanging out at the explorer's house. We'll offer presentations, we'll offer an adventure, an experience. It all depends on that contingency and what's happening. If people are delayed on board, the expedition team becomes a little center of travel agents. They're communicating with you, they're communicating with the clients, and everybody is aware of what's happening. and we're able to take care of people on each side, no matter what contingency is handed to us. We have a plan and action for that. So that's something that should give comfort because things do happen that just add to the overall experience that you weren't expecting. And that is part of our contingency plan. It is always a very popular question. Tell me about flight delays. Do flight gets delayed? Yes, the flights get delayed sometimes. And as I said, the flight operations are moving around King George Island 24 hours a day at this point. So it's a lot happening. But if you look at the statistics, most flights leave on day one as they're supposed to on their scheduled day of departure. Very few flights are getting delayed, and if the flight does get delayed, you typically are still getting to Antarctica quicker than you would have if you would have sailed. And you're much comfortable, or the comfortability level is high. So, yes, things happen. We take care of you when that happens. If it goes past a certain point, we will give your clients money back. We will move them to the next year. We work with you to make sure that people are as happy as possible within the situation if it does come up. But most people pass through as planned. But things happen. Of course, Mother Nature acts up. So we're there and we take care of people in that meantime. And it's much better not to be out to sea. I would pick to be at Explorer's House over in the Drake Passage any day. We do love to work with groups and charters here at Antarctica 21, depending on who your clients are. Multi-generational families, special science groups, or that special group to take over the whole ship, and then it is yours. We white label that for you. So if you have clients within that place, get a hold of your business development manager, Steph Fry, and we will guide you in those cases of what happens and what comes up. We have a global sales team to support you here at Antarctica 21. We are based regionally around the world. And with that, we have travel consultants and a full team at our office in Santiago. It's really important to us that you have the best experience possible working with us, just like it's important to us that your clients have the best experience possible on board. So we're here to support you with all the knowledge you need, webinars, promotions, brainstorming, packing lists, whatever you need. Your global sales team is here for you, along with our travel consultants, to make sure that you have the support you need through the booking process. We do have a fantastic agent area. You can take down this website, antarctica21.com/agent area. If you just go to the Antarctica 21 website, in the top right hand corner, you'll see an agent area tab. You can click in there too. The password is here, agent-user. No capitals or anything. That place is great. We have tons of photos, videos, webinars, deck maps of the ship. Everything you need, we've tried to put at your fingertips to just help expedite the whole process. We have an availability tab. Tip on the availability: don't use the little online availability. Scroll down, look at the Excel sheets. So if you're on the phone with a client, that can give you a great idea of right there what cabins are available and what those rack rate prices are. The prices listed are per person rack rate prices for all of our departures and itineraries. Our promotions change every 3 to 4 months. Actually, sometimes more often than that. But regardless, they are always up to date in our agent area. So if you click into the agent area, there's a promotions tab, and there are brochures detailing all the promotions that you can always download there quickly for that client on the phone. Or if you want to send out a newsletter, you can get those specials of what's happening right there online in the agent area, or reach out to your friendly business development managers. We also have an expedition portal for your client side of things. Your clients will upload their travel information here. They'll do their participation forms. They can watch videos. One really cool thing about the expedition portal that we offer is when folks come home, we have a logbook of all the landing sites that they went to, all the wildlife that they've seen, things that happened specifically on their expedition. That logbook is in there for them a couple weeks after the journey, as well as the photographer on board puts a file of all the photographs taken on that expedition in the porthole for the guests. So that's a gift that we give back when we come home. Gear. We'll get into gear quickly. Like I chatted about, boots are provided, parkas are not. Your full outer layer needs to be waterproof. That is because all of your landings are wet landings and the Zodiacs can splash. So you need to be prepared for that. Rain jackets, Gore-Tex, ski clothes, all of that gears up really good for your outer layer. Super important to be layered. If it's a beautiful day in the Antarctic, you might only need a long sleeve shirt and a puffy vest. But you always have your day pack, so you have those layers with you. Big, thick expedition socks. That's your trick to success. Keep your feet warm from being on that ice. Don't layer socks. Get the really good thick socks. It'll make all the difference. Couple travel tips we wanted to put in here for you. Plan ahead. But I mean, that said, you don't necessarily have to plan ahead. We do have last minute space typically available. But for those people that have exact travel dates, multiple generational families that need those holiday dates, if they want a kayak, all of that, you definitely need to plan ahead because of our small ships. There's just not that much space for everybody. So it is important to book as early as possible, especially for, say, the Antarctica South Georgia air cruise with kayaking. You want to book that as soon as possible. Like we just talked about, book kayaking early. Kayaking sells out. Build a buffer for weather as much as you can. We know people are always on a time schedule when they travel, and time costs money, but a little buffer for weather is going to help everybody's stress when you're going that far. So do that if you can. Uh, Travel insurance is required to have medical medevac travel insurance. We can give you the requirements there. You need to take care of the travel insurance, but we can give you some tips. And 44 pounds of checked luggage for your clients on this trip, and 11 pounds in their hand carry, plus their boot bag, whatever they put in their boot bag. And you can store luggage at the Punta Arenas Hotel. So for folks that don't want to take everything down there, doing that longer journey, no problem. We can hold on to their luggage for them. We have booking promotions available. I will not run through these in detail, but we do have them for both seasons on multiple itineraries and departures on all the ships. The current promotions are available until June 30th based on inventory within the promotions. So those are there to help you with incentives. And we also have a special bonus for you for joining us today. We have a 5% bonus certificate on your first booking with Antarctica21 in the 25-26 season. And with that, we turn it over to you to say thank you for being with us today and taking all this time to learn about the full Antarctica21 experience and what we offer. And we're here for your questions now and when they come over the next days and months. Steph, any questions we should know about?
Yeah, the chat has been busy here. So let me bring up a few. A couple people asked about camping. So maybe you can
Camping, we don't offer camping at Antarctica21. We have considered it, but honestly, it's too difficult to deliver it perfectly all the time, and we don't want to have bad expectations out there. So you don't camp. And when it comes down to it, I don't know how many of you have camped in the Antarctic. I have. It's nice to be in a bed. It's cold out there.
Yeah, thanks everyone for your questions. Another question was regarding pricing, and we are always in USD. Somebody asked about Canadian pricing, but all of our brochures are in USD.
Yep, USD rack rate per person.
And yeah, and I answered, Laura spoke a lot about the expedition activities. So I think that question was a little bit earlier on. Maybe Laura, you can speak a little bit about the participation form in the medical process. of accepting guests to our departures? Somebody had a question on approval process for that.
It's pretty simple. We have that in the expedition portal. There's basic questions that folks ask. If you have anybody that has specific medical conditions, um, and without listing them, I would think mobility issues or people that can't be in remote regions, we can talk about that. And sometimes we have a doctor look at their participation form, but typically it's pretty easy, uh, depending on who you are. I mean, that's a broad question. But we can get into the details. If you have a specific client you're thinking of, please ask us and we can help with those specific. I bet it'll come up. The minimum age is 8.
Perfect. And there was another question, actually a few questions of just asking the percentages of demographics from, other countries. And as Laura said in the beginning, we work in the US and the Canadian market, but we have a team, a global team all around the world. So our departures are very international with travelers from all over the world.
Yeah, that's it on demographics. It really is everything from kids to the oldest of adults and everything in between. The Antarctic is one of the one places on the planet left for all of us. So it's quite varied on the ships. Although you really only see the most children are right in those holiday days, just simply because of school schedules. So we don't have a lot of kids in school age on the departures outside of the holidays.
Another question comes from how easy is it to get in and out of the zodiacs for, say, older guests? That's a really great
Yeah,
question.
that's a great question. Um, Getting in the zodiac is really as easy as sitting down on a couch. It's the disembark decks have been made that you really walk off the platform. You have a very strong sailor on the ship side, and you have a very strong expedition leader or guide waiting for you in the zodiac. You do a sailor grip, and you truly just have to get in and sit down and slide. So getting in and off from the ship is pretty simple. As long as you can stand up and sit down, you're golden. You've got it. And getting off on the shore can be more exciting. It's not always. Sometimes it's as simple as throwing your legs over the side and getting out. But I have seen our expedition team, literally basically lift people in and out of the zodiacs. So they're there to help. We have a big team on each side. So uh it's 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 easy. Sometimes there's weather conditions, or if you have mobility issues, or if you're older, you need more help, and that help is there.
Thanks, Laura. There's another question. Carol asks, do you get to see emperor penguins?
On this trip, probably not. Over the last couple of years, every once in a while, you'll hear we saw one emperor penguin, and I mean, if somebody sees an emperor penguin, it's like you call all the ships. Like it's really quite rare to see an emperor penguin in this area. You really have it's a big concentration of Chinooks, excuse me, I just combined their names, the Gentoo and the Chinooks. Chinook, that's going to be the next penguin species down there. So there's the Gentoos and the Chinooks really up on the peninsula, and the Adelis are really starting to move a bit farther south. So the polar circle is gonna, I mean, I never promise wildlife. Your chances of seeing Adelies are much higher on that polar circle adventure. And the king penguins are in South Georgia. But the emperors, probably not unless you get that lucky coin.
Okay, and another question we might have mentioned at the beginning, but who owns the company? So I think Laura mentioned it's a Chilean owned and operated company. Still to this day, the founder in 2003, the original founder. So the head office for sales and marketing is in Santiago, and then the operations team sits in Punta Arenas.
Yep, exactly.
Not many questions going. Does anyone else have any questions that we can help with today? Just put them in the chat and let's see.
Yeah, and we're here for questions, webinars, emails, whatever you need. And thank you all for taking the time to be here today and learn more about Antarctica. We love sharing about what we do here because we love doing it. So, all right. Well, with that, Steph, do you see any more questions coming in, or should we say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, no, just some thanks so much and looking forward to working with everyone. So there's no other
Okay,
questions coming.
perfect. Well, enjoy your day, and thank you for taking this time in Antarctica with us.
Thank
Okay,
you. Thanks, everyone.
bye.